Welcome back to the Couch Potato Podcast. On today's show, Russ and Lucas are joined by Kohl and Gage of the Knights of Degradation podcast as we sit down to talk about 1994's The Crow. We'll hear a little bit about their show, why they chose this movie, and of course what we love about The Crow. And maybe we even create a new category in the process. The Crow on the Couch Potato Podcast starts right now.
In a world without justice, one man was chosen to protect the innocent and to make the wrong things right.
It's not a good day to be a bad guy.
The film the critics are calling dazzling and fiercely hypnotic.
Bye-bye, Birdie.
Brandon Lee is sensational. A triumph. Brandon Lee.
I love you.
The Crow. Rated R. Now playing at theaters everywhere.
Welcome back to the Couch Potato Podcast. I'm Russ, and with me always is Lucas. Lucas, how's it going?
It's going well. I see your face. You're like 3 feet from me. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Are we officially social distancing according to new?
No, we're within make-out distance. So
Okay, so we're going to get COVID.
I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not either. Because I remember how it happened the last time. You really fucked up our schedule by getting that.
I'm sorry that I got the pandemic.
You just careless. All right, well, we are in the home of the Knights of Degradation podcast.
And it's awesome.
Yeah, we're with Kohl and Gage. How are you fellas doing?
Doing really good. Thanks for having us.
Gage, you can say something too if you want.
I don't allow him to speak.
Okay, I didn't know if it was like you.
I'm just happy to be here. And Cole dragged me along, and I was like, yeah, fucking fine, whatever.
No, this is awesome. It's great to have like one guest, but guests that I really like. So.
Oh, cool.
And we talked about this earlier, but we haven't seen each other. You know, we all used to work together. We haven't seen each other in months, so this is great.
It's like a nice little reunion.
Yep.
Yeah, I've seen Gage once in passing when I come in there to swap out. Like my wife goes through screen protectors every 15 minutes. So I see him in passing. I always try to catch him, but he's with somebody. So
I saw you when you were coming out of the store the other day, and I missed you just entirely. You were in the parking lot talking to somebody, and I should go talk to him, and I didn't.
Yeah, it's probably yesterday, maybe. Yeah.
We should all roll in there like gangsters together.
Well, every time I go in, I just get stared at by everybody, and then
It's 'cause you're so handsome.
I won't use names, but somebody I was talking to, and then they looked at me and they say, "Hey, I'm getting yelled at for talking to you," so I gotta go.
When I went in there for the first time after I'd left, people were flocking to me like the end of Kindergarten Cop. When John
Yeah.
Kimball comes back to visit the kids, they all run up to him, give him hugs and stuff. Like, come on, we're in a pandemic here. We social distance gang, but nice to see everybody. So we're doing The Crow today.
Yes, we
Yeah.
are.
We let you guys choose this. So why did you choose The Crow?
So when you asked us on and said we could pick, I really thought hard about the movie that first sparked any kind of creativity from me. And, you know, like as you're a kid, sometimes you watch movies and you just kind of watch them for what they are as far as like the scenes and the lights and stuff.
Right.
I really thought hard, and The Crow is the first movie that had any sort of effect on me as far as the way that I thought and the way that I acted and the way I created. So it's just really real important movie to me.
Awesome.
Now, Gage, you can chime in too. It's just not all about Kohl.
What?
Yeah.
So I've always liked The Crow. When I was younger, my dad told me the story about how Brandon Lee died, and I had never seen The Crow before that point, and I was like, well, all right, I want to see, what he was in, and I remember watching it the whole way through, and I was telling Cole about this earlier when we watched it. That sparked probably a generation of like industrial and punk kids. And that's so fucking cool to me.
Or criminals.
Yeah, well, you know.
In my case, both. So, well, I'll say, like, you know, after watching that movie, my entire wardrobe changed, right? So, and I was a much smaller frame kid. I didn't get like this until I gave up. But
Muscly as fuck.
yeah, we'll call it muscles. But I had leather pants, really tight black T-shirts. I actually didn't really like long sleeve shirts that much, so I took my mom's pantyhose and cut finger holes in them, and I had them all the way up my arms. And we're talking like 4 or 5 years of me dressing like this.
Nice.
Painting my fingernails, painting my face, wore lipstick and stuff.
So you were the Crow.
I was, yeah.
You just didn't have a Raven companion.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you hang out in rafters?
No, I was on top of my garage once. That's about,
Now,
about as high as I
were
got.
you ripping off the Crow or Sting from wrestling?
Well, so sadly, when I was younger, I was a WWF fan, so not Sting, unfortunately.
I wouldn't say sadly. I was a WWF fan too.
Yeah, but as I get older, well, wrestling's a whole nother,
Save
topic.
that for another day.
Yeah,
We'll save that for the Ready to Rumble podcast we do like 2 years from now.
but yeah, just I love The Crow, and it was like the start of me kind of realizing that there's stories out there that can affect me on a personal level and kind of change who I am, like on the inside. And
Yeah.
it's really why and that's what I love about storytelling now. So it's kind of the seed of my. Wow.
Ooh, we're talking about Kohl King now.
Thanks for saving me with that. I appreciate that.
Well, Lucas, like Crow, what kind of memories do you have, or how are your feelings on this movie?
I remember watching this when I was a kid at the drive-in. So we went to the drive-in to see this.
Okay, so I'm not the only person here that's old enough to have seen this in a movie theater.
Right. Well,
Okay.
I mean, if you want to call a drive-in a movie theater.
You're seeing a movie you pay to see a movie. Outside, inside, it's
I
still
feel
paying.
really bad for anybody who won't experience a movie in a drive-in. Just saying.
Oh yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah, it's too bad. It's a dying thing.
I'm
It's
telling you,
unfortunate.
man, the one we have in town is like a church group now. I'm so
It's a bizarre thing.
Yeah.
It really is. I was telling you guys earlier, I don't remember really liking this movie, but watching it today, like the lines and the action and like the acting is actually not bad at all.
Yeah.
It's actually a really good movie.
It does hold up really well. So that's
That's basically it. Yeah.
all right. Not as I really like. They come and they brought the heat, and you just brought the temperature down.
Oof.
I know for me, I seen this in the movie theater, and like I really didn't have like a huge desire.
What,
to
when
see
you were
it.
35?
Fuck you, dude.
Is that enough heat for you?
Okay, yeah. Now the temperature's back up. We're good now. I remember seeing this in the movie theater, and I didn't really have a desire to see it. But then after what happened to Brandon Lee on the set, I'm like, well, I was, kind of more the curious, like maybe I'll see when this happens. But I mean, it turned out to be like really good. And I know when I was doing the research, it's like this was at a time like when comic book movies were starting to get like everybody was doing one. This is well before the Marvel stuff was coming out, but like Batman had kind of been super popular. Now everybody decided they want to make a comic book movie, and then they started going to shit
Yeah.
because you had Dread. God, there was a bunch of stuff. There wasn't anything really good after Batman Returns until this.
Yeah, Spawn.
Spawn, the Phantom. Like everybody's doing like the C and D list shit.
Forgot about the Phantom. Oh god.
Oh yeah, Billy Zane. But I mean, yeah, watching it recently, this is the first time I'd seen it in a while, and it still really holds up. Like the story's fantastic. It just really, it kind of like you were saying, it kind of resonates with you. And I was at that impressionable age too, where like, certain things would just stick with you for a while. So that's kind of my feelings on it too. I mean, it's really good, holds up really well. Just it's a shame that the legacy is Brandon Lee dying on the set more than the actual movie.
And kind of makes you wonder, like, where would Brandon Lee go after this?
Yeah, that's what we kind of talked about that too. Like, where would he be right now if he was still alive?
Right.
Or what would have happened to the Crow? So I know they, halfway through filming the first one, the director had this vision for a universe, like basically like what they did with Robert Downey Jr. as like the head of the Marvel universe, but they were going to do that with Brandon Lee with other comics and stuff too, and tie it around the Crow. But then he passed away, and the director just didn't want. Again, that's its legacy, and they didn't want to do anything with it after that.
Yeah, like I think that he was on his way to becoming like a huge star because he was starting to make I know he started out in like B-movie stuff because he did a movie called Showdown in Little Tokyo with Dolph Lundgren, which I like that movie more because I used to have a huge crush on Tia Carrere.
Oh, yeah.
It features a nude
Absolutely.
scene with her in it, so it's like it sticks with me for a different reason. But then he did Rapid Fire, which that was like it was like one of those B-list movies that gets like a theatrical release.
Yeah.
But then he became the Crow, and then I think he would have been a huge star.
But it's one of the reasons he got picked. He was the director's first choice, and he wouldn't budge on him at all. But the producers wanted like an actual rock star, like a musician. And I forget exactly who it was, but like it was a well-known musician at the time. And the director said, no, like this is Brandon Lee, and he's an amazing actor, but he hasn't been discovered yet. And this will be the start of, like the director knew that, and I think it's true.
Yeah. Well, we'll save that for. That's coming up.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No,
I'm getting ahead of myself.
No, we're good. But yeah, we'll save that for our research corner.
I do it every week, Cole.
Okay.
He has to rein me back in.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I forgot the structure. I apologize.
See, it's like I'm playing like it's like a basketball team. I'm like the point guard. I'm trying to distribute to everybody. Everybody get their shots. Well, real quick before we go into the tail of the tape, Kohl and Gage, tell us a little bit about your show.
What do you want me to say? You own the show.
I don't own it, but so the Knights of Degradation podcast was kind of birthed from a desire to get back into the types of things that I was into when I was younger. You know, as you get older, you have to give up a lot just to sort of survive. And it's not like my life was bad or anything, but, you know, I got furloughed during COVID and wasn't doing either of my two jobs. And my wife was working 16 hours a day, so I was just by myself all the time. And I remember sitting there thinking, well, I'm useless. Like, I don't have anything to offer right now. And so I thought about, like, the things that really made me enjoy, like, my free time and stuff. And D&D was a big one, board games, video games. Mm-hmm. So it's really just a way to sort of capture that again and get it back into my normal everyday routine. So that's how the Knights of Degradation got started. Found 3 other guys who, you know, I knew, but I knew kind of had that same sort of desire. Mm-hmm. And so now we do a Dungeons & Dragons kind of actual play, but we edit it and kind of up the production value to make it more like an audio drama, like something you'd hear on an old radio show, which is really cool.
Yeah,
I think we do
cool.
a pretty good job at it. I think it's entertaining.
I'm a listener. I follow.
Yeah, right on. But yeah, that's kind of what we're about. We release an episode usually every other Monday. The quality is really important to us, so sometimes we'll, you know, give it a couple extra weeks to get voiceovers in or get the music just right and stuff like that.
Okay. Where can we listen to you guys at?
So pretty much everywhere, anywhere there's podcasts available. There's even places that pop up that I've never even heard of before. So, you know,
I was
Apple.
telling you about Geo Savin earlier.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't even know that was a thing, so we're probably on there too. You know, we host through Buzzsprout, and they just kind of send it out for us. I'm not really sure, but yeah, definitely Apple, Spotify, Deezer, Stitcher.
You have any social media
sites
you want to promote while you're on here? Just keep in mind we only have like 7 or 8 people that listen to us. So,
sorry, so
2, like one of them's in the room right now. Okay, 2 people are in the room. So
sorry, self-promotion's still kind of a weakness of mine. It just feels weird to me, but yeah, I mean we're on Twitter. Our Twitter's actually getting pretty big, and we're doing a really good job of trying to stay engaged there. Probably our best spot to be with us and talk to us and like learn about us is on our Discord, which Gage actually made for us and does the upkeep on and manages it. You know, we engage with people daily, multiple times a day. We just talk. That's like sort of the behind the scenes, but it's also a way to get involved in the process too.
And
those are the big 2.
All of the news that we put out, we usually put on Discord first.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we just announced our first sponsor, and Discord knew about it about a month before, you know, we released it to everybody else.
Oh, cool.
So,
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you very much. Sort of just a way to kind of give them incentive to be in there. And
You want to go ahead and shout out your sponsor?
yeah, if you guys
Yeah,
want
go
to.
right ahead.
Yeah,
maybe
we
they'll
just-
sponsor us too.
No, we're sponsored by Hunt a Killer, which is like a subscription box entertainment company is what they call themselves, and they just send you a box every month, and it's like part of a mystery that you got to unravel over the course of about 6 months, and just a really good time.
It's
Excellent.
actually really interesting because sometime soon, I'm not sure if we decided a date on it yet, but we've got a themed week coming. So every day will be an episode of us going through one of the boxes. So stay tuned for that kind of stuff. But yeah, just check us out and we'll let you know.
Yeah, that'll be
that sounds
sometime
really
in
cool.
that'll be sometime in October around Halloween probably.
Oh yeah, very cool.
But that's right. Enough about us. We're here to talk to Crow and hang out with you guys. So that's why
I
we're
don't
here.
know.
I'm
I was
most
having a
excited.
good time listening to you guys talk.
Yeah, actually, I think more people are going to just listen to you guys talk than instead of Lucas now.
I'm not pretending to be a goblin or a hobgoblin with underbite, so
That is
I'm not as
so
entertaining
true.
now.
All right, well, I'll run down the tail of the tape here real quick. This movie was released on May the 13th, 1994. Stars Brandon Lee, Ernie Hudson, and Michael Wincott. Directed by Alex Proyas, who also did Dark City. Anybody seen that? No one?
No.
No one?
I don't think I have.
I know the cover of it because my mom.
Cover's really cool.
I grew up in a video store, so I know the cover of Dark City.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. This and The Crow are like his 2 best movies. He did that Gods of Egypt movie. But,
Oh, Jesus. Did he really?
yeah. Yeah.
I hated that fucking movie.
Yeah, Gerard Butler, like, his movies are my wheelhouse, but, like, I was like, this movie fucking sucks. I think I turned it off.
Jesus Christ.
Rotten Tomatoes score, 83% from critics, 90% from audiences. The box office was $94 million on a $23 million budget. And if you want to check this out, you can watch it on HBO Max.
That's where we watched it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. See, there we go. HBO Max, if you're listening, we could use a sponsor.
Now, I don't know if you have that in there, but it was the #1 movie the week it came out.
Yeah, it was. This is a time when, like, the summer movie season really didn't kick off till June. So, yeah.
So it wasn't like this. I don't know. It didn't come out as like this independent cult classic. I mean, it came out and it made an impact right away. It seems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right, which is really good for a movie that was originally supposed to go straight to videotape.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting into the research corner now, Lucas.
Sorry, we're getting ahead.
Well, Cole, it's understandable. You're a guest. Lucas has done this.
He tossed me an alley-oop. What, you want me to not slam that shit down?
But I did forget, though, you've missed quite a few episodes, so your rhythm's not as good.
Oh, how dare I have fucking COVID in a kid? What
Yeah,
a
I know,
dick.
you son of a bitch.
Both of those things are entirely your fault.
Yeah.
That's actually true.
All right. The William Somerset Research Corner. You guys know what that's named after? Seven.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Scene,
Yeah,
the
you've told me
research-
that before, and it's never clicked. But Seven, another fantastic movie.
That's right. I think so, too. Lucas, do you want to lead off with what you got? And then I'll...
Sure. So the director originally wanted to film this movie in black and white. The comic book is completely in black and white. So he wanted to film the movie in black and white, but was turned down for that. And I know after talking to you guys, everybody knows this in this room. So ravens were used instead of crows because they're easier to train. So sorry if I stole that from anybody.
I
That's
fucking
okay.
wish they called it the Raven instead. He literally quotes the Raven.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking that too. Like,
Yeah, you said that when we watched
Yeah.
it, but yeah, just they were easier to train, and specifically they could not get a crow to fly while it was raining, which
Right.
was a big deal. And then talking about the ravens, one raven was basically trained just to be Brandon Lee's best friend. So the one you see on him or flying around him, that was like his personal raven that just hung out with him on set. So it's really cool.
Hey, man, want to grab a beer after this?
Yeah, I just think that's cool. Like, hey, you do a movie and you also have a pet
get
raven
up
now.
I think it's written in his contract. It's like, we're going to pay you so much money, and we're going to give you a raven.
Yeah, but we'll call it a crow. You
that
can't
sounds
tell
like a
anybody.
fucking deal to me.
right.
So this movie has been said to be cursed. Obviously, Brandon Lee passed away on the set of this movie.
You want to go into that a little bit? Exactly what happened? I'm sure most people that are going to listen to this already know, but for the few that don't.
Yeah, so the stunt directors, it's very confusing how they word it online. Essentially, they had fake bullets, then they replaced them with blanks, and because when they replaced the fake bullets, one of them got lodged in the chamber, so when the blank bullet went off, it fired off like a projectile that went into Brandon Lee's stomach. The director called cut. He still laid there. Everybody thought he was just pretending, joking, and then one of his co-stars walked up to him and noticed that his pulse was weakening. So he went into surgery for 6 hours. He was still alive. He went into surgery for 6 hours, and they could not revive him, so he passed away.
Well, I'll add to that too. So what I heard is they had to, like, they were using the blanks, but they made them themselves, and that was the big issue. They made them themselves out of like real bullets, I
Yeah.
guess, and
Yeah,
they left left too much powder, and then something scraped along the inside of the barrel. Or I don't know enough how guns work, but it doesn't, like, it's easy to say, oh, it's just a tragic accident, but really I think, just to be honest, I don't want to blame anybody, but it was really kind of negligence that happened because everyone was super tired because they were really crunching for this movie, and the scene that it was during was a scene that the director had just decided to do towards the end, was not necessary. He just wanted to change up something, and it was, when Brandon Lee walks in and sees what they're doing to Shelley, Tintin throws a knife at him and hits him. Well, the director's like, nah, I think I want him to get shot instead, so let's reshoot that. And then that's the scene he got.
Yeah, that was like a big thing in that movie too. Like, they were cutting corners left and right to try to get it as cheaply made as possible. That's why they shot most of it in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Because you got all these tax credits and stuff.
So it was kind of negligence, poor work ethic, and just kind of it was just unnecessary. It wasn't just a sad, tragic accident. It really was negligence that could have been avoided, which kind of makes it worse, in my opinion.
I was reading that the actor that pulled the trigger never got over that totally, and he quit. He didn't make movies or anything for years after that.
He didn't even talk about it until the 2000s. I think 2006 was his first comment about it.
Yeah,
God, I can't even imagine, man.
Yeah.
Well, I read that when he passed away, the headlines weren't, he was in 50 plus films and TV shows. It's the man that accidentally killed Brandon Lee.
Yeah.
That was
really?
the headlines to him dying. That's fucking horrible.
Yeah.
Especially something that the guy obviously didn't mean to kill his coworker.
Again, definitely not his fault. That's like you said, it's the people who do the props and who schedule that stuff.
And meanwhile, the stunt team's like, yeah, getting out of here.
So as I was saying, the set was said to be cursed. So other than Brandon Lee dying, Carpenter put a screwdriver through his hand. A stuntman fell through a roof. A disgruntled fired crew member drove his car onto a set workshop.
Oh my gosh!
An injury was caused by a crane hitting live power lines, and a bad storm destroyed large portions of the set.
Jesus, that sounds like a fucking a theme park adventure show.
That's it, man. That reminds me of Poltergeist. And
I was going to say that. Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, well, I'll just say, coming from the theater world, there's shows like that, too. That's just something, when multiple bad things happen, you just kind of build that reputation. To be totally honest, that bad stuff happens with almost every production ever. So a lot of movies probably have those issues, and I think, again, with Brandon Lee dying, it just shined a light on a lot more of them, too, for sure.
Yeah. So O'Barr, who is the writer of the comic, donated most of the money that he received from the movie to charity.
Mm-hmm.
The only money he used on himself was to buy his mother a car and himself a surround sound system. The rest of it he donated because he felt like it was blood money.
No.
Well, too, just talking about him a little bit, and again, I don't want to step on toes or anything.
No, absolutely.
If this is the right time to talk about stuff like that. So he started writing The Crow because his fiance had died in a car accident, got hit by a drunk driver and died. And he was quoted as saying, nothing took that pain away. He did really hard drugs, drank a lot. Nothing would get rid of that pain, so he started writing The Crow. And then the story of The Crow is because he saw a headline about a couple that was engaged that actually got killed on the street because somebody wanted their $30 engagement ring. So that's where the story comes from. But that's kind of what The Crow is about at a whole, too, is pain, getting rid of pain from horrible things happening. So that was his way of dealing with that. And then with the money, he wanted to turn into a movie early on, but he actually turned down offers for more money and instead went with a studio and a production team that would do it in his vision. Because the first time, I think it wasn't quite double, it was 1.5 times the money, but he wouldn't have any creative control over it. And he didn't like the things they were saying. So he actually took less money to tell the story better, which you always have to respect that, I think.
That's what I would do. Really, honestly.
I know, I was reading that since, the studio, I forget who actually invested the money, but since, they didn't invest a lot of money, they kind of let Alex Proyas do his thing. So he was able to just, keep, okay, this is how we're going to do this. There's no studio meddling or anything in it. So that was kind of cool to read about that, too.
We kind of talked about this before we started recording. Cole, you were talking about this, but they actually had a reboot plan for this. And you were talking about sequels, but there was also a reboot plan. But it's run into a bunch of script problems over the years. And the original director feels like it would be disrespectful to Brandon Lee's legacy, which I kind of agree with. I mean, this is when you think of this movie, you think of Brandon Lee, I think. So I agree with that. I don't want to see a reboot of this movie.
If it was another property and, he hadn't died or something like that, it'd be a different story. But, I mean, I agree with that, I think.
Did you see who was, rumored to be a part of that at one point?
No. I'd heard Bradley Cooper.
Bradley Cooper and Jason Momoa were rumored.
Shit.
Oh, yeah, I saw Jason Momoa. Yeah.
Bradley Cooper blows my fucking mind.
He's so good.
Yeah, I can.
I think I would be okay with him.
Well, that was 10 years ago, though.
I think
it was
this
him.
might be Limitless, or what's that movie where he takes the pill and he's
Limitless.
Yeah, I might be Limitless. Bradley Cooper. There's no fucking way he does it now. He's too big.
Yeah, and that's all I've got from my research.
All right. I just have a couple real quick. You kind of took a couple that I had. I just thought these were kind of cool. The author of the book, James O'Barr, wanted Johnny Depp as Eric Draven at one point.
I could
Really?
see that, really.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Depp is a musician.
Yeah.
He is, yeah.
Christian Slater and River Phoenix were also considered for this.
Damn, really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, I think, didn't River Phoenix die like the year this came out?
It was
No, this would like, because I know he was supposed to be an Interview with the Vampire. I think that came
was
out in 94.
93. Was that 94?
I think Interview with the Vampire is 94. So yeah.
That'd have been nuts.
It would have been.
Cameron Diaz was offered the role of Shelley, but she turned it down.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
After Brandon Lee's death, Paramount Pictures was supposed to release this movie, but they decided not to, and then Miramax picked it up.
Yeah.
And they put like another $8 million into it so it could get completed.
And also to be released in theaters because,
Yeah.
like I said, this was originally straight to video.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Miramax could with them too. They weren't like a huge studio yet, so they could. That's something they could gamble on too. I thought this was kind of a funny little fact that Top Dollar's nightclub was an abandoned cement factory in Castle Hayne, North Carolina. And it was also used in Super Mario Brothers, the movie.
Oh, my God,
And
really?
it was Shredder's lair in the Teenage Mutant Ninja
That's
Turtles.
Oh,
fucking
wow.
awesome.
That's really cool.
And then the last one I got is Chad Stahelski. Was Brandon Lee's body double for the scenes that needed to be reshot. He went on to direct the first John Wick.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome.
Well, there's two paths you take. Either you direct John Wick or fucking Gods of Egypt.
Well, that's funny because as we, like, I don't know if it was when you came here, but as I was watching, I was like, man, like, Brandon Lee could have been John Wick.
Oh,
like, just
man, he
watching
could've.
that stuff. So it's funny that that's an actual connection there.
That's actually a very cool possibility.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's
Yeah, you know, it's hard to think of John Wick as anybody but Keanu, but I think he could have done it. I think
Yeah.
Brandon could have done it.
All right. Do you gentlemen have anything you want to?
Yeah. So I have the comic, and I, again, just big fan of the story as a whole, but I don't want to be like, oh, well, in the comic this happened, but they did.
The comic.
Yeah.
This happened.
Actually.
Well, you see,
So, yeah, there's a couple of things that they changed though, and they did start to change too much to the point where the author actually stopped them and said, "Don't do any more." And then he wrote this 10-page like description of what the story meant to him and like what it was really about.
Mm-hmm.
And then the new writers for the script read that, and it kind of clicked and got them on track. But then there's other things that still got taken out. So there were two characters originally in it, one that was taken out before filming and then one that was taken out after. The one that was taken out before was at the request of Brandon Lee, which there wasn't a lot of description, but it was an Asian character who was hunting down Eric Draven, the Crow, to steal his power.
Mm-hmm.
And Brandon Lee said it was very offensive. It was a really offensive Asian stereotype that he didn't appreciate, so they took it out. And they did that right away because the director wanted Brandon Lee. From what I read, he was always like the number one choice.
Mm-hmm.
So they just did it to make him happy, which is good. Like, don't have Asian stereotypes in your movies.
right?
Right.
The other one they took out after filming, so there's scenes that exist with this character, and my mind's blown, and I want to see them. It is a skeleton cowboy.
Yeah,
that
the
is
Skull
like
Cowboy.
Yeah, that's like the
Is that his name?
the spirit guide for the Crow, which I can't remember if he's in the comic or not, but
Yeah, when I was doing research, he's a character in the comic books.
yeah,
He's like a main character in the comic, isn't he?
I don't think he's like a main character, but he's like a pretty high supporting.
I'm pretty sure he's in there towards the beginning, but he's like the spirit guide, and he's originally the one that tells Eric Draven everything that's happening and what he has to do and stuff. So after Brandon Lee died, the studios liked that character, but the writers didn't want it in, and the producers didn't want it in, so they took it out. And then the studios actually didn't like that they took it out, and they're like, well, this makes no sense. And it's kind of why the film starts the way that it does, because it does just, Eric Draven wakes up, goes and paints his face, and then before you know it, he's at Tintin. And there's really no in-between there.
Yeah.
So they cut big chunks of that out.
Huh.
But I want to know what that character looked like. I really want to know how they filmed those scenes and what the dialogue was like. They replaced them with what's the little girl's name? Sarah. Mm-hmm. They replaced it with her narration. That wasn't originally in there.
Oh, okay.
The things I would have done to see a fucking shitty 1994 CGI flaming skeleton in that movie, I would have done anything.
You heard it here, folks.
Yeah, I would have. Man, if somebody has those scenes, send them to Kohl and I, because I would kill to see them.
And then just another thing, too, kind of a credit to the actors, specifically Tintin and T-Bird, but all four of the Motor City gang, they decided to like really delve in deep into their characters. So they went kind of the extra mile as far as their acting goes. So the actor that played Tintin actually spent months practicing with knives, and he took classes on like throwing knives and juggling knives and stuff.
Oh, wow.
So he was able to do all his own stuff there.
That's pretty
and
cool.
then the actor who played T-Bird, it said that he almost memorized Paradise Lost because his character is really into Paradise Lost, and that's what he's like reading and stuff in the beginning and the end, quoting in the end.
Yeah.
And it's funny because they cut out almost every other scene about Paradise Lost, and I don't know if anyone's read it, but that's a tough thing to memorize. So it's cool to see the actors go that extra mile. And I said this to Gage, and I kind of mentioned it earlier. I think it shows. I think everybody in this movie. Originally, I was like, oh, Brandon Lee wasn't in this, it'd be terrible, but I think everybody's A game from everybody.
See, now knowing that, like when I watched it, I was like, some of this shit is a little over the top. But now actually hearing that, now it makes sense, and it's really good acting.
Yeah.
When you were talking about that, I was looking up the guy that was supposed to play the Skull Cowboy. His name's Michael Berryman. If you've ever seen the cover of The Hills Have Eyes, the old one, that's him.
Really?
Yeah.
That's fucking cool. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow. God,
Yeah.
I want to see those scenes. Like, I need to find those, but they probably are not around.
I'm kind of surprised they've never done like an ultimate cut, you know what I mean, where they include it. I mean, why not?
Well, I mean,
I think, like you said, the legacy of Brandon Lee and stuff, just not one to mess with
Would
it.
it make the movie worse?
well, you were talking earlier about how they wanted to.
Probably would.
You were talking earlier about how they wanted to change that, originally shoot the movie in black and white, and with like the Snyder cut and whatnot, how they have like what's it called, Justice is Gray or some shit, where it's all shot in monochrome. They could probably do it and get away with it. I think I wouldn't really like change anything about the experience. But it'd be cool.
Depends too. I don't know how profitable it would be either. I do think like that the generation of people who would appreciate them, and this sounds super hipster of me, but I guess, but the generation of people who would appreciate that might be long gone, honestly, or might not
when
be
you think
as
about
interested.
comic book movies now, it's like unless it's Marvel, and if they were going to do something like a big anniversary edition, that would have been a couple of years ago.
Okay.
So
Well, I remember when Deadpool came out, and someone's like, "Oh my god, it's the first R-rated comic book movie." And I was like,
no,
what?
there's been a few.
I will fight you right now. But I do have a couple more. I don't want to like bog
know,
down
hey,
with stuff.
keep
But again,
going. This
this
is
is
good
one of my
stuff.
one of my favorite movies. So Obar, the author, makes a cameo in the movie after the pawn shop catches on fire. He's the guy that picks up the TV and starts
he's like
looting
stealing
it.
shit, isn't he?
Yeah. And then we already talked about Brandon Lee, but it was 2 days left of filming when he died, when they added that scene in there, which was just pathetic.
And he was supposed to get married right after.
Was he really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
That's even worse.
Yeah, if you see like the credits, it's dedicated to Brandon, and
Eliza?
I thought that was his mom. That's not his mom.
that's his fiance.
Oh, I didn't know that.
His mom's name's Bonnie. The only reason I remember that is like I'm kind of a Bruce Lee fan. So
Yeah. Well, I know his mom sued, and they
Yeah,
settled out of court, which, I mean, I don't want to say good that people get sued, but
I mean, yeah, it's. I mean, I guess if that is, that helps them sleep at night, it kind of lessens the grief. But still, that's like shouldn't have to have come down to that.
Well, then the last thing, and I don't know if you mentioned this earlier or not, but I mean, it spawned several sequels and even a TV show, which the TV show wasn't bad. I think it was Stairway to Heaven or Stairway to Angels or something like that. TV show wasn't terrible. I think they tried to cast someone that looked a lot like Brandon Lee, and that kind of sucked. And I do like City of Angels, the second movie. I don't think it's anywhere close as good as the first one, but I do like it.
If
Like,
they would have made an animated series, it would have been a hit.
yeah, no, like I
Yeah.
was thinking that too. Like if when HBO they did a Spawn animated series, and they should have kind of gone that route with this.
Oh, that'd be sweet. And that,
Yeah.
I mean,
The Spawn cartoon was fucking fantastic, and I don't even like superhero properties and whatnot, so they could have killed it, especially with like the 90s art styles they had. Would have been great.
Now, see, I think that's a good avenue. They keep talking about these failed reboots. Why not go that route?
Right.
yeah.
I mean, it's pretty much I don't know who owns the property at this point, but I mean, you could put that on a streamer, make it like a 10 episode Netflix or HBO Max or Hulu series. I mean, fuck,
Yeah,
I'd watch
Netflix wouldn't. I mean, it's like a sneeze to them as far as cost.
Well, yeah, no,
goes.
like-
it would be nothing.
it. Yeah, like Netflix is just kind of like, I think they make like 10,000 shows. Like, all right, here we go. Some of these are going to hit. Most of them are not. So why
Yeah.
not take a chance on the Crow?
Just to kind of see what's, and it's because they can. It's not because they have to.
Yeah.
Like Netflix could never change. There could be nothing added to Netflix for the next 10 years, and I still would like have too
You
much.
still
Too
wouldn't
much
be
shit
able
to
to watch it all.
Yeah.
I think you and I should do a Netflix series.
Okay. Call them up right now. Like, hey, we would like you to shoot behind the scenes of our podcast.
We'll just make it like the text messages where we just bitch about shit. That's all it'll be.
Bitch about our former jobs and all that stuff.
Yeah, bitch about the weather like old men.
It's fucking raining. Fuck.
It is really hot in here, though. Just saying, it's
it
been
can't-
way too hot lately.
I think
can't
it's
rain forever.
I think it's you unzipping that sweater a little bit.
yeah, turn up the heat.
It's the
in here.
magnetism.
Lord.
Well, then of course Lucas, like bringing back the heat from earlier. Gage, you have any fun facts you want to add to what we've already thrown onto the fire here?
Not really.
Good talk, Gage.
I really like The Crow. I think that all of the cool, my favorite parts of movies are like behind the scenes stuff and like productions of movies. What's up?
Well, no, we mentioned earlier the town is miniatures, which is really cool.
Oh, yeah.
But that
You
was
know
really
what?
big back then.
If you watch that, I was watching it on my 4K TV, and you can
tell.
you can
Yeah.
tell the miniatures.
Well, we talked. The fire is squares of a fire image. It's not like actual fires. It's like square, like in SimCity when your building catches on fire and it does it in squares.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. You can actually see the square outline.
Yeah.
It's so bad. We watched it on the OLED downstairs. I was like, "This, I'm not proud of this."
Yeah, like you're talking about doing like an anniversary edition. Like I'll settle for just a 4K upgrade because like you
Yeah.
can seriously tell like the miniatures on that.
Which I looked into that. There's like no plans to do a 4K upgrade from what
Yeah.
I saw. They did the Blu-ray and they're like, "Yeah, we're done." So
Yeah, I think it's just like it's the same thing as like why sink the money into.
it could be something like they don't want to do anything with the Lee family anymore either. Like the Lee family might still have some
That could
Control
be.
over it, yeah.
legality where they can't do anything with it or something.
Yeah, that could be. I mean, I think it's more the fact that it's for like people like me, like kind of grew up like that was our teen years and like it made a difference in your life. You love the movie too. It's just like anybody that's like 18 or younger, they don't give two shits about it.
Yeah. And like I said, it's like that generation's kind of come and gone. They would appreciate it.
Damn kids.
I'm getting there. I'm old ass man now. So
I'm already there. I bitch about loud music now.
Do you off the top of your head know who played Top Dollar?
That's Michael Wincott.
Okay. Because he gives me, like, he could be anybody. Like, he looks like a person that you could mistake for anybody. He looked to me like, who played Lestat?
Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
Tom
Tom
Cruise.
Cruise. He looked like fucking Tom Cruise. He
I
looked
don't know
like
if-
James Franco. He looked like everybody.
I don't know if you guys know who James Remar is. He's an actor. I'm trying to think. Have you ever seen The Warriors? He's in that.
Yeah.
He was the villain in 48 Hours with Eddie Murphy. He's been in a
I've
bunch of
seen
shit,
that.
but like I always get them two guys confused. See,
And
now
he-
I'm showing my age.
I think he looks kind of like James Woods. And who else did I say earlier? It's like if James Woods tried to like morph into like Thomas Jane, but got stuck halfway through. That's what he looks like to me.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. If you guys want to like recast him later on, we got a category just for
Oh,
that.
okay. Well, sweet.
Yeah. So if you want to like, hey, we don't like Michael Wincott, I'd rather see somebody else.
Just piggybacking off that, just real quick. He does like his voice and the way he looks in this movie looks like that he should play vampire movies forever.
Yeah, you said he's like he's a fucking vampire.
He looks like a fucking vampire.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah, it's like
And
one
he
of those
has the
things. Where,
swords and shit. Too.
yeah.
all right, we need some like third and fourth rate vampires. Get me Michael Wincott now.
By the way, Gage pointed this out. His swords, the way he organizes them, stupidest way to organize swords ever.
The worst. It's like glass tabs, and they're arranged in a circle in a fucking square storage container. Just that's so bad.
If you could see Gage's face, he's like turning red.
Oh,
He's
he
about
was
to fight
mad.
somebody.
He almost wanted me to shut off the movie. It's so
I was
ridiculous.
like, you turn this shit off right now.
Fuck this sword
That's
organization.
the most unrealistic thing about this franchise.
He's a hornet's nest, man. He's about ready to turn his table over. This podcast is about to end.
Never mind, this guy came back to life and is killing everybody.
Yeah,
His
whatever.
sword organization is
These
bullshit.
swords
That
suck.
could happen, but nobody's going to waste that much space.
That's true.
Well, you can bring that up again in Unsolved Mysteries of the movie. Why did he arrange his swords like that? I lose sleep at night over that. All right. The I Drink Your Milkshake Award for the best scene of the movie.
I drink your milkshake. I drink it up!
Lucas, what is the best scene of the movie to you?
For me, it's the pawn shop scene when Draven goes in there and is looking for the engagement ring, and he's threatening. Man, we had his name in the game we played earlier. Gideon, thank you. He's threatening Gideon, and Gideon's like, "Oh, shit on me!
I don't get why is that a thing? Like,
yeah, why is he yelling shit on me?
Well, doesn't he shoot him and it heals in that scene? And that's when he starts screaming, shit on me.
Shit on me.
Well,
Like,
what would
who
you
the
do
hell-
if you shot somebody and then he healed in front of you like fucking Wolverine?
I don't know if I would beg him to shit on me.
A request, that's for sure.
Maybe he thought he'd get his powers from...
He said, "Don't kill me," after saying, "Don't shit on me" 3 times.
No, he said shit on me.
Yeah, he didn't say don't. He said
Oh,
do.
He wanted him to.
Well, that same scene has one of my favorite lines from the movie, which is when he goes to get the rings, and you can hear him in the background, and he says, "I hope you stick him in your mouth and you choke on him, you son of a bitch." That's just a really awkward, weird insult.
So I just feel like it shows Draven's rage and just like the length that he'll go to just to avenge their deaths and also get back pieces to. It almost feels like he's broken. So by killing the people and getting back the engagement ring, he's kind of putting himself back together.
Yeah. Plus, it's a John Polito showcase. He plays Gideon.
Yeah, and then he fucking puts rings in a shotgun. He's like, "Is that gas I smell?" And blows up the whole fucking pawn shop.
So if you're ever in a pinch and you've got a shotgun, look for rings.
grab some wedding rings,
Right.
Or just hit the local Rite Aid where they have that $5 jewelry.
This kind of goes back to the facts, but they were really excited about that scene because of the way they filmed it. They used smoke to like cover a bunch of stuff so that it really looked like the rings were coming out of the gun, and like it was a practical effect. It wasn't CG or anything.
Oh,
So they were
that's
like
cool.
really stoked about how cool it turned out.
did turn
Still
out
not
really
going to
well.
ignite gasoline. Which what the hell else did he have in there that blew up like that?
Well, I mean, he was a pawn shop guy for like pretty much a mafia.
That's a lot
true.
of
In
fucking
Detroit.
lawnmowers in that place. Gage, what do you have as your favorite scene of the movie?
The scene where he's with what's the cop's name?
Albright.
Yeah, when he's in his apartment, I just absolutely love the realism of the situation. He tells him like, "Who are you?" And Eric says like, you know, he asks him if he's a ghost, and he like just tells him like who he is and whatnot. And he just, without a second thought, is like, "Yeah, okay, I totally believe you there." And
And I'm going to sit here in a wife beater in my underwear with my cop hat.
I just absolutely love that scene. And right before he leaves, he says, "All right, do you plan on disappearing again?" And he goes, "Well, I thought I'd just use your front door." I love that
Yeah, I
scene.
thought that was hilarious.
Well, yeah, we talked too.
Yeah.
Like that's such a throwaway line, but again, just shows you how genius Brandon Lee is that he made it. Again, one of the best lines in the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got so much like weight to it, and it's just like, yeah, I'll just leave out your front door.
Cole, what about you?
So those are both fantastic scenes, and like every scene, I love this movie. Every scene, well, most scenes are okay or great, but the T-Bird death scene from the time that he is in the back of T-Bird's car until T-Bird blows up is haunts me. Like just the stuff T-Bird's saying, and he's not saying anything to him, and that I think that's real impactful because he sort of played with Tintin, and he kind of played with who's the other one, Fun Boy, but he doesn't play with T-Bar. He just drive. That's all he says. And he gets to the spot, starts taping him, and then T-Bird is, it's pointed this out when we watched it, instantly terrified. Again, Tintin wasn't, and Fun Boy wasn't, but for some reason T-Bird instantly knows exactly that he's going to die. And there's just something so haunting about that. And he's, you know, he says, I knew you, but you ain't you. You know, and he just starts screaming, there ain't no coming back. That even saying it now gives me chills. I think that's such a powerful scene.
When Eric is getting all the equipment out of the trunk, he is like telling the story about like, you know, what he did to Shelley and Eric and whatnot, and you can see the look in his eyes like sink when he like recognizes him for who he is. It's fucking, yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's such a good scene.
Yeah, that in my opinion, that's best scene in the movie. It's like, yes.
Wow, that's kind of surprising. Usually, like, we have, like, kind of the similar, at least a couple of us have a similar, like, scene. But for me, it's the flashbacks in the apartment shortly after he gets resurrected from the dead. And you're kind of seeing how much Shelley meant to him. And you start to see, like, the loving person that he was. And then you just kind of hear, like, the Cure's Burn start playing, and then he transforms into the Crow. I just fucking love it. I love montages anyways. Anybody listens to this show knows.
Everybody knows Russ loves a montage.
Well, once it picks up, the music starts to pick up, and then he punches the glass. Yeah. It's chills.
You see him, like, painting his face, and then, like, starts running on the rooftops. Like, fuck, like, that's awesome. Like, you just see that, like, shit's about to go down. I feel bad for everybody that's about to get fucked up by him. So that's mine. So, I mean, like, out of the 4... Like, you make all great cases, but what is the best scene in the movie?
Gentlemen?
I mean, let me put it to you like this. This category has always been like, if you were to catch this movie on TV and you're just flipping through channels, you see this, and, like, you've got someplace to be in, like, 30 minutes. And I don't know if you guys are like, maybe if, like, I'm waiting on my wife to get ready, or, like, I'm going out with a friend and I'm watching TV waiting for them to get done, and I see something. Like, I'll stick around for this for a couple minutes. But if you see this movie, like, okay, I might be late to this doctor's appointment because this scene's happening, what would that scene be? Out of the 4 weeks.
That's a lot, for sure, a lot of scenes. I think that if there was a scene, maybe think of it like if there's someone who's never seen The Crow before, and I have one scene to show them to get them into it, it's probably the pawn shop scene, to be quite honest.
Really?
I don't know if it's necessarily the best, but I think the T-bar scene's too far. You need to know a little bit more before that, and I think same with the cop scene. But the pawn shop one, it's everything. It's kind of haunting, but it's also funny. But you learn a little bit about Eric. You learn a little bit about the world that they're into because he's hunting for the Jolly Pirates is what he calls them. So I think that's probably the best out of the 4 we've talked about.
I would agree. It sets the tone for the rest of the movie, and it's so early on that, like, you can't miss it.
Yeah. Plus, like, you get Brandon Lee kind of fucking with Gideon a little bit, and, like, John Polito's he's that character actor. You plug him in anything, he's fucking good in anything.
Yeah.
He's like a slimy pawn shop owner. He plays a detective in The Big Lebowski's and Miller's Cross. I mean, he's just fucking good in everything.
Everybody hams it up that whole scene. Like, the last thing he says...
Polito's cranked up to, like, 11, though.
The whole movie.
Yeah.
He says, "Is that gasoline I smell?"
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. You know what you're doing.
I think that's probably the best scene in that context for sure.
Yeah, I can't argue that. I mean, yeah, it'd be the movie. That'd be the scene that, like, I would stop. Like, okay, honey, we're not making dinner on time.
Well, I'll be honest. Like, if that movie's on, period, we're like, we'll be late.
Yeah,
we're watching that movie.
Yeah, I usually have a pretty strong, like, if I'm watching something on TV and it's a movie I like, if it's halfway over, I probably won't watch the rest of the thing because I like to watch movies from beginning to end. I don't like to jump into the middle. But that is a movie where I probably would.
See, I'm like, if it's a movie I've seen hundreds of times, it's like I can watch, like, a certain scene and I can just flip it off after that. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like the whole genesis of this category. It's like, oh, if I got to watch one scene before I go somewhere or whatever, or if this is the scene, it's like, well, we're not making it. I'm watching the rest of this. So that's kind of the genesis of that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I can't really argue the pawn shop scene too. Good choice, Lucas.
Hey, I won one.
Good at this.
Do you guys ever talk about the worst scene?
No, we don't. We don't do that on the show.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Maybe we'll make that a category at some point.
What do you think?
Well, it's not really the worst scene, but there's one line in the movie that always, well, maybe two, but this one irritates me the most, and it's when T-Bird's telling Top that Tintin has been killed, and he says someone stabbed him in all of his organs in alphabetical order. How the fuck does he know that they were in alphabetical order?
Right.
He's not a coroner. How's he going to hear about that? I don't understand how you could tell.
When he comes up from the dead, he gets like all this medical knowledge. He'd be like,
yeah,
like, hey, if you get this and you make it out alive, hey, get your medical license.
Well, I just think that was such an
Eric
unnecessary
Draven, MD.
detail.
By that same logic, he could have been like, yeah, he stabbed all of his major organs in alphabetical order backward. Like,
yeah, or in order of the most importance to the human. I don't know. I just don't understand that line at all.
So here's one scene that I found kind of weird, though.
Is this going to be a new category?
We can make it. Hey, you know what?
My goodness, you guys are doing this better than Lucas and I.
We require 5% royalties now.
We're just going to let jokes on you. We don't get anything.
Yeah.
The scene where Draven comes in there with all the bosses or all the criminals, and Top Dollar is telling him, to kill him and stuff. And then Eric just turns into the best shot of all time. Like, he's a musician. I mean, I know he's back from the dead, but he's like fucking headshotting everybody.
And they use the same stock effect the whole time.
Well, when he unlocks the cheat code for unlimited ammo, that's really convenient. It's always nice.
Yeah.
I would say I like the way he fights in it, though. He does fight like a normal person.
Yeah.
Like, at one point, he throat chops somebody, and it's like the most clumsy-looking throat chop ever. It's like that. And that's just like, man, that's how I would throat chop somebody.
Can I see that again?
It's like, yeah, like that.
Hi, fucking y'all.
Also, this is a trope in a lot of these types of movies that have a lot of like crime syndicates and bosses. Who the fuck were all those people at the table?
Right, where'd they come from?
What significance do they have? There's a guy in a hoodie that's like tied around his face. He looks like Kenny from South Park, and he just it doesn't say anything. He just aims a gun at him, and that's all.
But
Going forward now, anytime I watch this movie, I'm going to think of "You killed Kenny, you bastard."
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because across from him is like an old farmer-looking dude in overalls.
Yeah.
Like,
and then next to that guy is like a Yakuza member.
So you know how like for The Dark Knight Rises they put out this thing. They're like, hey, just show up in villain clothes. That's probably what happened for this. Like, hey, just show up and we'll put you at this table.
We'll give you
and
a fake gun and pay $100.
Yeah.
You'll be good.
So was this like planned in advance? Because this is back before cell phones, so it's got to be extremely hard to get all these people together. Like, three-way calling was extremely expensive back
I
in the
can't
day.
imagine though. They're like, all right, you're gonna wear a parka, you're gonna wear a three-piece suit with an eye patch, you're gonna wear a straw hat and overalls with no undershirt. I don't
It's one of those
understand
things
it.
where like it was just a costume. So like, listen, guys, this is all I got left. You got to make it work.
Yeah. The other weird thing about that scene is no one gives a shit what Top is saying. Like, he starts yelling. It's like, are we having fun or what? And then a few guys are like, yeah.
It was like, yeah, like what was that? Huh?
Yeah, it was.
Where's the catering table?
It's over there. We've got sandwiches. I don't know if we're gonna do worst scene in the movie. I hate when like a kid has a bad parent, and then like they have the next scene where like they think that everything is going to be okay by making breakfast. Like, I hate that.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
she got the morphine out of her arm. She's got the good parent
she's
juice.
neglected her daughter, I'm guessing, pretty much her entire life. And now that she's off the drip, like, oh, I'm going to make her scrambled eggs. Everything's going to be fucking hunky-dory. It just drives me nuts. Like, no, Mom. We've got tons of shit we got to dig into.
Well, she kind of made it hunky-dory, too. She's like, no, don't throw away those eggs that I fucking hate, by the way.
I guess the way it could be like perceived is that there's an effort.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
you
I'm
got to
sure
start
she's making
somewhere,
an
I
effort.
think, with
Yeah.
that stuff. But, like, I don't know. Like, I didn't have the best relationship with my parents growing up, but I definitely
shit,
wasn't, like,
deep
neglected
dive.
like that. But I don't know. If I woke up and my mom made me breakfast, I'd just be like, what? Is this poison?
What's
Like,
there morphine in that?
Did you drink
damn,
morphine
is there
in my
morphine?
eggs?
You need money, don't you, Mom?
No, not my mom.
All right, well, thanks, guys. I think you just created a new category, the worst scene of the movie.
Yeah, I appreciate that, guys. And
The
we'll have to figure out a name for it, too.
Worst scene in the movie sponsored by Knights of Degradation.
Yeah, there we go. Let's call it that. The only time that won't happen is in the Shawshank Redemption because there's not a
absolutely.
bad scene in that movie.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
Yeah, that's coming. Shawshank's coming. All right, the King Kong Ain't Got Shit on Me award for the best line of the movie.
King Kong ain't got shit on me!
What do you got, Cole?
Ooh, best line of the movie. So, I'm going to
You've
say
already-
this
you've
because it's...
thrown out a couple already.
Yeah, I'm trying not to, like, do repeats, but... can it be, like, a back and forth a little
Sure.
bit? Or
Yeah, there's no like.
There's no rules
structure.
here.
So I think the most
in the safe
badass...
zone.
I think the most badass line in the whole movie is when Skank says, "That I ain't Skank, that's Skank right there. Skank's dead." And Eric says, "That's right." I think that's the most
That
badass
was
line in
pretty
the
cool.
movie. Yeah, I absolutely, because again, just chills, and like he says earlier that they're all already dead, they just don't know it. And I think that line just encompasses everything.
Gage, what do you got, buddy?
I think the best line accompanied by the best like action in the movie is when he tells I keep forgetting the cop's fucking name.
Just call him Ernie Hudson.
Yeah.
Or Winston if you're a Ghostbusters fan.
He says you shouldn't smoke these; they'll kill you. And later on, when he's with T-Bird in the car, the first thing he does when he sees him smoking the cigar is he just grabs it and he throws it on the ground. I love that. That's my favorite line, and it's the callback.
Yeah.
I just fucking love that.
Kind of like, I never thought of that.
It's like
but
a
that's
minor
awesome.
detail that they throw in there that's just so excellent.
They didn't have to do that for us, but they did.
Yeah.
And maybe Brandon did that like ad-libbed. He may have.
Lucas, what do you have?
So mine is kind of a long-winded thing.
Do you steal mine again?
I hope so.
Off my notes.
No, it's Sarah saying a building gets torched and all that's left is ashes. I used to think that was true about everything, families, friends, feelings. But now I know that sometimes if love proves real, two people who are meant to be together, nothing can keep them apart. It's a little sensitive on my part, but I've gone through a divorce, and I'm with Tina, who we talk about on this show, my girlfriend, my baby mama now. We have known each other for 21 years, and we didn't see each other for like 16, and we got back together, and it was like we had never been apart, so like this line actually resonated with me.
That's awesome.
That's really kind of
deep. That's fantastic.
Beat the shit out of mine.
Well, yeah, you're stuck. Okay. So the cool thing is, like, that line wasn't even originally supposed to be in the movie, too. And that was when they got rid of the skeleton cowboy.
Skull Cowboy?
Yeah, Skull Cowboy.
Skull Cowboy.
They added that because that was a narration that she did over, and they just added that in. So they might have just been like, fuck, just write something sentimental. And it's cool, though, because, that absolutely resonates, for sure. Anyone that's found their... what I would call soulmate knows exactly what that's
and you
like.
just know what it feels like.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn, Lucas, coming deep with these here lately. Yeah, you're gonna be the sensitive one. It's like, all right, Lucas is the sensitive one, and Russ is the dumb one.
Russ is the angry one. He's always mad at Lucas for some reason.
He hates everything.
All right, Russ, how you gonna top that?
I have from Sarah also. I have people once believed that when someone dies, a crow carries their soul to the land of the dead. But sometimes something so bad happens that causes a terrible sadness is carried with it, and the soul can't rest. Then sometimes, just sometimes, that crow can bring that soul back to put the wrong things right.
That's a good line.
I fucking love that line.
It's really cool too.
I'm really proud of us. Nobody said the generic line, but still a very good line. Can't read all the time.
Yeah,
I have sprinkled that in there a few times, just under my breath. Salt Bay.
Yeah. Well, I
was expecting one of you guys to say it. That's why I didn't. I was like, I'm going to go with something.
That's almost too classic, I think. Like, I don't think that's the best line in the movie, but it
a
resonates with.
lot of times
stuff.
we go with the one that seems to resonate with everybody. It's like, it's the most quoted line of the movie. But
I think the when he kills Tintin and he says, "Victims, aren't we all?" That was the line they pushed in the trailers and stuff. So that was like
that's
the
a really
big
that one also almost made my cut.
Yeah.
So that one may have to win best line, even if we didn't even bring it up.
I don't know. I personally like the one I went with. I just think that's really cool. And it kind of gives you kind of a backstory on.
Yeah, I think it explains really the whole movie. So it's a great line
for sure. Again, like picking a line that encompasses everything. I think that would be the one.
Well, I've always been a fan of monologues, and I think that I agree that really does kind of encompass the whole theme of the movie.
Hot damn! Give me one.
Well, that kind
on
of
the board.
I don't know. Again, I don't want to mess with the structure, but that kind of goes into like something I've thought about a lot. So the last few times I've watched it, and it's like whether it's Eric Draven that actually comes back or whether it's something else. I don't know if that'd be a good time to talk about now or if you have a section later.
Go for it.
So I just think and this gets kind of weird and sentimental and stuff, but the whole point, the crow is just pain. He's just the essence of pain. Mm-hmm. Anybody that he touches feels that pain. You see that they do it a little bit with the movie with the cat. Like, he picks up the cat and it bites him and gets mad, even though it shows it later on that the cat got along with him well. Mm-hmm. And of course, the end, he touches him and transfers all that pain and stuff over.
I've got something for you. I don't want it anymore.
Yeah. Again, another awesome line, really, in with the context. But also part of what they took out with that cowboy character is he has a line that says, "If you help the living, you bleed." And what he means is if you touch or help anybody, you'll inflict pain on them and yourself. And that's so. Is the crow Eric Draven, or did the intense amount of pain and awfulness and anguish that event caused? Is the crow coming back? Is that what that is? And it has Eric's memories and feelings and stuff like that. And that's like a deeper dive into the more sentimental stuff to it. But it's something I always think about with it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think Eric Draven in life. I mean, he was just a musician who loved his girlfriend and was going to get married to her. I don't think he, wanted to go around stabbing people with hypodermic needles and knives and stuff. So yeah, I mean, it could have just been the epitome of rage.
It takes a special type of pain and anger to stab somebody in every single one of their major organs.
In alphabetical
Yeah,
order.
that takes time because I'm like A, B, C. Like, I have to count.
Gotta go through it in your
Fuck.
Well, and that kind of ties. And again, I should have mentioned this during the facts part. But the face, a lot of people think it's like based off a clown or a mime, but it's actually a marionette that the author of the comic saw when he was in London, and he said it was the most like depressing, sad-looking marionette, but it still had this smile painted on his face, and that's kind of what it was. This fake smile put on the Crow's face, who's just in anguish all the time and is in pain all the time.
Mm-hmm. That makeup took 3.5 hours to put on.
Yeah, it was like grease paint, right?
Are you fucking serious?
Well, I guess apparently it got to the point where Brandon Lee did it, and then he slept in it to give it that slept-in look.
Oh, really?
That's
worn in.
so cool.
Yeah.
Man, God. I wish he wouldn't have passed away.
I have a hard time.
Selfish
I'm
to
not-
say that.
I'm not doubting it, but I find that hard to believe because I recently watched a movie called Psycho Goreman, and yeah, I know.
That's just
but-
a movie you would watch,
Yeah.
just based on the title.
It's called Psycho Goreman, and the special effects for that movie took 3 hours, and he came in before anybody else but the makeup artist. And that is like Jim Carrey in the Grinch levels of like time, and like holy shit, that it seems like way more minimalist than I guess it is.
Well, I wonder if it's just the fact that when they put it on each day, it looks like it's like fresh. It's been put on where he's been in the rain. And
That
he's
makes
like,
sense.
And I don't see him like, okay, I've killed Tintin. Now I've got to go touch this up.
Right.
Like, where's a gas station and a Rite Aid? I got to
Right.
find some. I got to find some way to touch this up.
Yeah, they probably spent just as much on what's his makeup going to look like now and stuff as they did on the cinematography and everything. That's probably why it took so long. And then again, so they had issues of getting stuff to stick to it too, which is why they had to use grease paint, so it actually stay on with sweat and rain and all that.
Watching this and after I read about that makeup, it makes me wonder if when Heath Ledger did the Joker, it has that same kind of he wears this makeup all the time.
Yeah, he's got the forehead lines.
Yeah, it just makes me wonder if that wasn't inspired a little bit by this movie.
Could have been. That's funny. We mentioned the scene where he walks in where there's all those bad guys. I was like, man, he's going to do a disappearing pen trick. It feels like that scene. Those two scenes have
I guess it really does make a lot of sense because the scene at the end of the movie with the church right after the cop gets shot, he's half of his makeup is gone. And they had to do that deliberately. They couldn't have just been like, hey, Brandon, just fucking wipe your hand down your face.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not coming off? All right, we're going to do a 30-minute pickup basketball game. And you're not coming out. All right. So, that's really good stuff, though. The Crow line, does that win the award?
Your line, yeah.
All right, yeah. We went into a really deep conversation there. And
yeah, I'm
I
sorry.
feel like it's awesome, and I feel like I didn't contribute anything to it.
It's okay.
All right, the Lou Brown give him the Heater Award for the best role player. Which actually, this is kind of sad. This is the last time we're doing the Lou Brown. We're renaming this after this episode.
Forget about the curveball, Ricky. Give him the heater.
We're calling this the McLovin.
We're calling it the McLovin. Just because, McLovin in that movie is just
he steals the movie.
He steals the movie.
Plus, it's a lot easier to say. It's like, we're just going to, all right, who wins the McLovin? So who wins the best role player, bit player? Gage, I'll let you lead off.
Shit.
So what do you mean by role
just
player?
Brandon Lee, Ernie Hudson, and Michael Wincott, I would say, are the main 3 stars.
Well, shit, there goes mine.
Well, Michael Wincott, I guess, isn't in the movie that much. But, all right, let's take, I don't know, The Dark Knight. Christian Bale, Heath Ledger, or the 2 leads. It basically would be anybody that's not in the movie a whole lot.
So sort of like supporting.
A supporting player, yeah.
It's like the best supporting actor.
Okay. Well, I see why you say the McLovin, then the person who kind of comes through and steals the movie. Yeah. Okay.
Just
Sorry,
for the
I
scene.
wasn't sure.
The guy whose name escapes me who plays Candyman.
Tony Todd.
Yeah, Tony Todd. I should know this. I love horror movies. I should know this. But I would say him He does not have very many lines in the movie, but the lines that he does have, he fucking executes flawlessly, and it gets the point of his character across without fail.
You know, like when I watched this, like I can't tell you how many times I've seen this. I never put that was Tony Todd until I watched it the other night.
I fucking knew that from the moment I saw it, but I assumed that everybody else did, so I didn't say anything.
Yeah, I was like, fuck, that's Tony Todd.
Is he the one in The Rock?
Yeah, he's the one.
The one that
I don't listen
to
to
soft ass shit.
Damn.
I love that line.
We're in sync. We're back.
We're here.
He says so little, like, he doesn't say any lines at all, to the point where when we play the board game, you can check that out on our podcast.
And please do.
Oh, cheap plug.
I actually forgot that. Yeah.
But we didn't know his name until we saw it on a card in the board game.
Yeah.
That's right.
And so he just played his character so well that you didn't even really need to fucking know his character's name to, like, know who he was.
Grange, yeah. I never would have known that was his name.
Oh, I just called him the Candyman the whole time we played that game.
Colt?
So, I said this before, I do think every single person in this movie is on their A game. So I don't think you could pick an actor and say, like, well, this one did better than the other. I think everyone did exactly what they were supposed to do to the T, and I think that's why this movie's so great. But one person who does this in almost every movie he's in, and again, I think he gave the best performance other than, you know, the main characters, is David Patrick Kelly, who played T-Bird.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure, I think so, because, again, as soon as you look at him, you know who he is, what he's about, and I don't, you know, he's not like the pawn shop owner where he's, like, way over the top, which works for the pawn shop owner. He knows exactly how his character reacts, what he's supposed to do, the feelings he's supposed to have. I think he definitely, again, there's a scene with him and Brandon Lee, and the whole time I'm focused on him and what he's doing, so...
Yeah, I love that dude. He was in The Warriors and Commando.
And
I watched Commando for the first time in forever the other day.
I think my favorite role of his is in Last Man Standing with Bruce Willis. He plays Doyle, I think.
Oh, damn. I've seen that movie one time, and I don't remember anything about it.
Oh, it's fantastic, but he just has this
Walter
good...
Hill, right?
I think so, yeah. Christopher Walken. And I think I said Bruce Willis, but he just plays like this sort of side lackey, but he steals the movie, and at the end, he's the one you're like thinking of and stuff. So yeah, I would definitely say
he's really
him.
good too. Lucas, who'd you have?
You want to go ahead and do yours? We don't do yours first very often, so why don't we go ahead and have you do
I actually
yours?
have John Polito as Gideon, the pawn shop owner. Like, he just encompasses like the slimy. Like, after I seen this, I pictured every pawnbroker as someone like this until like Pawn Stars came out, and they're like, okay, they're actually pretty cool guys. But then they did that. What was that pawn show that was on True TV?
Oh yeah,
Hardcore Pawn.
Hardcore Pawn.
Then like, okay, yeah,
Unfortunately,
there are
that
slimy
name
pawn
show.
shop. there are slimy pawn shop brokers, and plus, like, I think he just wins it because he yells shit on me
3 times, in fact.
when he's begging for his life. I've never heard that in anything, so he gets it for me just for that. And he's good in everything, so like I wouldn't expect anything less from him.
For me, it's Michael Wincott is top dollar. I just think, like we talked about it earlier, he could be a fucking vampire or whatever. Like, I thought he was a vampire, honestly, when I started watching this. I'm like, is he gonna like pull out some fangs and fight back and all that stuff?
Mm-hmm.
It is that type of movie.
It really
I'm
is.
pretty sure they go that route in the second one.
Do they?
Because sort of, yeah, not really, but yeah.
I can't really put into words. It just, when I was watching it, I just felt like he shined through as somebody who would be somebody who's a mob boss. He just gave me that vibe that he could, control all these scumbags. And, when he kills, why can't I think of his name again? Your character, Gideon. When he kills Gideon, it's just so unnecessary, but it's like brutal ruler, just keeping control.
He stabs him in the throat, and then he's like, "Oh, fuck's sake, will you die?" And
right,
just
the guy's
shoots
like
him.
choking on his blood.
Like, he murders this dude, and then he immediately is inconvenienced by his death, and like wants to move on.
That's a scene where like the main villain just has to show like how cold he can be.
Mm-hmm. Well, I like the flip side of that too, because he does care about his goons, which I really like. And you see that because all we'd have to do is give him Skank, right? And then that's it. It's over. And then he can go about his business, find new lackeys and find new goons and stuff. But then that line's like, I just want him. And he's like, you can't have him. And just the way he says that. But it's like possessive. It's like, no, he's mine. You can't kill him. Not because he's a person I care about him, but because he belongs to me. And
Right.
like he definitely more dimensions to that character and that performance than I initially thought.
Yeah.
Well, plus there's that deleted scene where it shows how much he cares about him. They take a Christmas card picture together.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen that. What the fuck? Oh, okay. Holy shit, man. That would have been awesome.
Yeah, them and the Skull Cowboy.
Bro, that would have been fucking awesome.
They go on a picnic.
Yeah, they're all like, they got their arms wrapped around each other. Merry Christmas.
It's the
I wanted that
business
so
picnic.
bad that I manifested it as real. in my
Yeah,
head.
right.
All right, so who wins the Lou Brown, the last Lou Brown award?
For me, it's pawn shop owner.
Gideon?
I'm never gonna fucking remember his name.
John
I swear.
Polito is the actor's name.
I think it's John Polito because he's so over the top
Yeah,
and he's memorable. You know, when you think about it, you remember.
Yeah,
him.
I mean, for me, he's the one character that I remember outside of Brandon Lee in this movie. Just for what I said, like, shit on me. Like, seriously, that still baffles me to this day why somebody would beg for their life using that term.
I think I agree, but I think I'm biased because any character that's like that I remember. I think the accent, I think everything about him, the over-the-topness is just fucking iconic.
Yeah.
And
For
in
sure.
a movie where, like, you know, like Brandon Lee, I know he kind of comically fucks with some of the people he's trying to kill, but, like, for the most part, it's fairly subdued. And then, like, he's like, okay, we've got everybody at, like, 5, and then we've got this guy.
Yeah.
He's all the way up, so.
For sure. I would agree with that. Like I said, I don't think there's a single person who didn't give a great performance. So
Yeah, like the next award we do is the Eric Stoltz Award for the performer you would recast. There's nobody I would nominate for this.
yeah, I don't think so. I can't think of a single person that like, well, this person didn't do a good enough job. If we could like update it with actors from now as opposed to actors from then, I don't think there's a single.
I mean, I thought about doing Top Dollar, but now that you guys don't even know who James Remar is, like, I'm not even gonna fuck with it. That's gonna be like a 40-minute explanation on who he is. So.
Again, we could cast it with the worst people possible. But again, you said Cameron Diaz didn't do it. So
Yeah, the only thing would have made it worse if like Rip Taylor was Top Dollar.
God, if she would have passed on Gangs of New York too, she would be awesome.
You know what's funny
Can't stand her.
is that character's in that movie for like what 25 seconds.
What character?
Not Sarah. The
Shelley.
Shelley. She's in it for like 25 seconds, and you already fucking hate Cameron Diaz just thinking about it.
Well, I think this is right before.
She ruins everything she's in.
That's not. I thought she was all right in The Mask.
Well, you're wrong.
Want to fight about it?
No, I don't. I mean, we could do a whole episode on all the shit I have to say about Cameron Diaz because she ruined Gangs of New York.
All right. Well, we're gonna start a Patreon. It's gonna be a Couch Potato Knights of Degradation joint Patreon where basically we just let Cole loose for an hour where he bitches about people he hates.
Yeah.
Specifically Cameron Diaz. Every
Yeah.
episode is a different aspect.
Cameron
of
Diaz,
that I
Rip
hate.
Taylor.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Okay. All right. Cool. We've got a whole series set up. All right. So, I mean, is there anybody that you guys would recast in this?
No, not for me.
I think if I'm like stretching, again, it's totally unnecessary. Maybe the mom, maybe Darla, to somebody who can sort of show the struggle of give more dimension to that character. I think that's the only character that doesn't have multiple.
I don't know,
dimensions.
man. I grew up around people doing drugs a lot. She kind of plays that pretty well.
Yeah.
Well, I think she got the role because she makes some mean scrambled eggs.
Well, I've got
I think
one.
that was her audition.
I know somebody I'd recast. I'd recast the Crow as a fucking. Sorry, the Raven as a crow.
I was actually. I had to take a,
Yeah, I didn't know what he's talking about.
I didn't know how loud that was going to be because he huffed up really hard.
I hope Adam doesn't wear headphones when he.
I hope he does. He needs to feel that effect.
he's just gonna-
But no, yeah, recast the Ravens as crows. That would have been cool.
Yeah, that would have been fantastic.
Again, he even quotes the Raven.
Fucking Raven.
And not to keep doting on that scene, but it's so hilarious when he says that, and then Gideon's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And he's like, "Well, did you hear me rapping?" He's like, "Well, how do you not get my reference?" I just really like that.
Do you not know that?
Yeah.
Because they're fucking ravens.
All right. Well, just because no one else, and plus that's a really good point. Yours wins.
Yep. You
We're
win.
recasting Ravens as crows.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
You have a job as an animal wrangler on movie sets later on.
Hell yeah.
See it.
Yep. I just fucking wrestle a bird to the ground.
But put it in a headlock,
Yeah.
sleeper hold. Why are
619 a bird.
Oh my dude. Like if there's like a bucket list item I'm gonna add, it's that. I just want to see that now. I don't care if it's a fucking toucan. Actually,
it's a stretch goal on our joint Patreon.
Yeah, we'll just put it up on. No, we're just gonna make that a YouTube. Like our YouTube channel. Gage is gonna do a 619 on a fucking flamingo at the Columbus Zoo.
Putting animals in.
Yeah, we'll call it Barlow Gets Us Canceled.
Putting animals in various wrestling holds.
But by God, it's a sharpshooter.
Here's Gage trying to choke slam with the what they call them, bonobos or whatever.
Oh,
Right.
Oh man!
All right, the unsolved mysteries of the movie.
Join me. Perhaps you may be able to help solve a mystery.
These are this is a category where like you have a question that didn't seem to get answered in the movie, and it kind of drives you nuts.
Oh yeah.
I have one, but I'll let
you go first. You haven't gone first yet.
What's the deal with Top Dollar and his sister? I want to know that dynamic. Like, what the fuck's going on?
Incest.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool.
That's how porn is
question answered. Yeah.
Well, no, like it just like I didn't know if they've got a sexual relationship and they.
It sure seems so.
Well, I mean, like, what was that? A hooker or? With the
Probably just a
dead,
groupie. I don't know.
Yeah.
You call them that. But
I didn't know if like they were like on the. Okay, you do your thing and I'll do mine, or whether it was just I don't know. It was fucking weird.
Well, part of me, the whole movie, just thought that maybe he was just fucking lying, because like I mean. He's a criminal. Criminals lie, right? So I was just in the back of my mind hoping that, like, maybe
that wasn't his
just
sister.
lying. Yeah, maybe that was a joke or something.
Yeah, like for the longest time, I thought it was just like they're like really close. Like how like some people have friends that they call family. Like this is my brother. All that's your best friend, or whatever. And I thought that was like that for a while, but like I don't know. When I watched it the other day, it was just like
you'd be hard pressed to say that when they start making out in the church.
Yeah, just like what the fuck's going on here?
Well, hey, if there's a place to make out with your stepsister,
and it's in porn,
it's in a church.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think you're right. And
either that or like did
you say the church?
Well, being honest, like there's that line where he's like, "This is like she's supposed to be your sister," and he just gets real serious. My father's daughter.
Yeah.
Like, how's that better? I don't know.
It's not.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a mystery though, because it's just gross. Because
Yeah,
we're gonna alienate some listeners, but
I guess well, don't worry. Like the only people listening to the show are our friends anyway. So like, oh, Cole's pretty funny. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just I don't know. It just why is that in the movie? Like I didn't know why that had to be
It was really unnecessary.
it's so kind of in the same exact instance in Hamlet with Mel Gibson. I don't know if you've seen that or not. They just add a scene where he open mouth kiss his mom while they're arguing. It's not in Shakespeare didn't write that. So they just add it, and I think it's like a Hollywood-ish thing to just be more edgy. That's what I think it is.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, what's something really edgy we can do to kind of make people uncomfortable? And I think you already got a bunch of stuff in The Crow that's making people uncomfortable, so they kind of had to take a step further. That's what I think that is.
Yeah, it's like when
Still gross.
Gideon's like bleeding for. Is he really going to take a dump on him? But yeah, I think that's probably the more of the question. It's like, why is this? It's not really necessary. I don't think it really enhances anything.
Well, I just want to say, so in defense of Gideon and his shit on me, you've never had like something go wrong and you're just like, well, fuck me, fuck my day, like a woe. That's like he's just saying woe is me, but he's saying it in Detroit talk.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like, anybody listening to the show in Detroit, please let me know if that's like a thing you guys use up there.
Well, hey, that's why the whole thing takes place in Detroit. Is they looked up like what's the worst city with like the most crime and most fires on Halloween, and it's Detroit. So they're like, okay, it's in Detroit.
Okay, I thought you were getting ready to say like the worst city with the worst crime, and like Springfield. Like, no, we don't want that.
No. But yeah, they looked up. It's like, what's the shittiest city to live in on Halloween? And it's Detroit, and that's why it's in there. So
right, well,
I think
like
just shit on me is like, oh, woe is me, but in
Yeah.
Detroit.
Like, all right, Springfield's 1, Detroit's 2. Detroit's a bigger city. We'll go to Detroit.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if The Crow took place in fucking Springfield?
I would not like to.
Yeah.
No, Top Dollar, don't burn down Schuler's. All right, Lucas, do you have any mysteries that?
Yeah, why didn't CPS take Sarah away from her mom?
True.
Like the cops all especially the main cop knew that.
You talking about Winston Zedmore?
Yeah, knew that she was with, her mom was like into drugs really heavily because she pretty much told him right at the beginning.
I'm willing to bet that Child Protective Services got burned down. And there is no Child Protective Services.
Yeah, there's a good chance.
I mean, when your movie takes place in what looks like a fucking Tim Burton set, you probably have bigger fish to fry than what Child Protective Services.
Detroit in that movie makes Manhattan and Escape from New York look like Walt Disney World. I mean, they've got Broadway shows at least. But.
Well, I think you're right, but that could just be an outreach issue where it's like the deep inner city, and I've never lived in those areas, but I protecting children is something I'm really passionate about. And there are places where just moms are allowed to do that, and no one reports it, and even police officers don't report it because what are you going to do with the kid? And that's a really common thing.
Or maybe they're scared to go down there because
Well, yeah.
Yeah, she's tied up with Fun Boy, who's part of this big gang. So who wants to mess with that?
Right.
Yeah, and I think too, whatever resources are devoted to keeping some semblance of law and order in that city is. I mean, I think what happens to kids is probably at the bottom of the barrel. At the bottom of the totem pole, and
I didn't mean to make this all depressing.
No, you know what? We've been on a roll lately. We talked about the death of movie theaters a couple weeks ago, and now I think.
Well, I mean, there's the line that Tintin calls Gideon a child molester, and it's just swept in there, right? It's added.
Shit, he did,
so there is there is a theme of just not giving a shit about children.
Yeah. So there you go. Hopefully, Cole more than me, but. Did he solve that for you?
He did.
All right, good deal. Good job, Scoob.
Thank you.
All right, Gage, you have any unsolved mysteries for the movie?
How the fuck did the pawn shop rings ignite the fucking pawn shop? Resident Evil stole that scene. They straight up stole that scene, and I think
which Resident Evil, because they do that in all of them. Right?
I think Extinction, where Alice fucking shoves all the quarters in the sawed off.
Oh,
They stole that scene. They 100%, and it isn't better. You can't do that. And I mean, even if they did somehow, even if he did get some sort of velocity, they don't make sparks or anything like that. Maybe it fucking hit a piece of metal or something, whatever. But that's putting a lot of faith in your fucking weapon right there.
No, I said this when we watched the scene. It's crow magic.
Crow magic.
That's all it is.
There you go.
That's how he's able to stab somebody and know exactly in alphabetical order the organs. It's that's
well, that's trick. Mine because I. Well, no, so we talk in D&D all the time, right? Rule of cool, where if something's really fucking awesome, we're just going to make it happen, even if it doesn't make sense. And the idea of him taking the rings, and he even says, each one of these is a life you helped destroy. The idea of him using those to destroy his life, because, again, he talks about later, all his life's gone, his livelihood and stuff. That's just sweet poetic justice. So I don't have an explanation of that, but I would rule of cool that, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Worst part about it is that it doesn't kill him. It just fucking bangs his head against a wall.
Yeah, but that scene's so funny. It even slow-mos it a little bit, too, so you can enjoy it longer. Yeah.
Sonic's how do I get my rings to do that? Or take down Robotnik?
Well, they are making a Sonic the Hedgehog 2, so I wouldn't be the least bit surprised to see him with a shot.
For Knuckles?
Yeah, and I'm very happy about. I love that first Sonic movie, by the way.
Who for Knuckles?
Oh,
Idris Elba.
Yeah, Idris Elba, yep.
I love Idris Elba.
So, yeah, you're going to see that in Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Somebody's going to fire a gun. It's going to have all those rings in there.
It's going to pour him in a thing and shoot him.
All right. Anybody else got any mysteries that it needs?
How the fuck did he know what order he stabbed him in? I don't get it.
That's what I want.
That pisses me off so much. How do you know? Why would you make that up? Even if you did know that, how does that detail help Top Dollar at all with the situation? It doesn't. And
Top
I don't
Dollar
understand.
Goes gross.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And can we just point out, Top Dollar's reactions to all of them are hilarious. When Skank's going through and describing how T-Bird died, he cuts to him and he's laughing.
He's chuckling.
So yeah, how does he know if it's in alphabetical order? And was it really? Because it shows Tintin with the knives in him, and part of me wants to pause it and get a picture of where the organs are and look and see if there's some way. I
God
don't
damn,
Cole's
understand.
doing a deep dive.
Some CSI shit where you're like, all right, take the scene and then move it up and then like zoom in.
Yeah.
I can just imagine Brandon Lee going,
Yeah, like that has to take time. He's not just gonna know. So he's probably in there for like a good 45 minutes at
well,
least.
the obvious choice would first be, of course, the heart, but you're doing it major organs, so you got to be like, where's the fucking appendix?
Well, yeah, wouldn't the appendix be first?
Yeah.
But where's the appendix? It's your bottom right, right?
Yeah, right.
So he stabs him in the top left because he says victims aren't we all, and he comes down with his right hand in the left side of
Your
Tintin.
shoulder is not an organ.
It is not, so that's bullshit. And plus, like, he gets hit in the top right first, too, so that just blows the alphabet out.
Russ, they're awfully mad about this.
It's bullshit.
I'm going to solve this mystery right now. Rule of cool.
No,
True.
I don't think that's cool.
I think it is.
What I think is Tintin's trying to make the fish
Posthumously.
bigger, like tell a story, but then make it grand, like it was an alphabet. Fuck that. No, I said Tintin. I meant T-Bird, but no, that doesn't fly with me.
I seriously, if I were a vigilante and I did that to somebody, I would leave them a note that says, please, I stabbed this guy in every major organ and I did it in alphabetical order.
Well, then
And
you
just
have
leave
something to prove it by. You fucking take your business
Yeah.
card and give it to him.
I would color code it like red, blue, heart.
Well, and so another serious, like on the more serious note one is why does he draw crow outlines?
With gas?
Well, he does it
Or
with
just in
blood
general?
at the
It's almost like
beginning,
a serial
and he does.
killer.
I think it's his
Calling
calling
card.
card, yeah.
But why does he leave one though? And he doesn't leave one for everybody.
I think it's to show them that he's coming for him. It's like it's to let like, hey, this isn't just some random thing happening. I think it's like, hey, you guys did this. I'm coming for you, and I'm letting you know that I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
I'm taking you out.
I can see because he doesn't do it for Skank,
Well.
but Skank's the last one though.
Well, I guess on the inverse, Top Dollar never actually saw them. Like, they never took a picture of it or anything. So it's all just like, yeah, and there was a big crow in fire there on the wall. And he just like...
This takes place in New York?
Sure?
You went to New York for a second.
Or whatever. So there's a big crow in fire.
It's a squawk.
It's a squawk.
The squawk and the pock.
We can't even bring that up for best line of the movie.
All right.
Well, I guess that makes
ruined by
sense.
sheep.
I guess I think about it because in the second one, he doesn't make it happen. It just happens that way. Like the building explodes and the rubble lands in the shape of a crow or like pools of blood. So I was just always curious why he did that. But calling card does make sense
Because he's a serial killer.
Yeah, pretty much.
Basically, I mean...
He's a vigilante. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Same thing.
There's a fine line there.
Yeah, it's very fine. But yeah, I think he's a vigilante. When you do it for good, you're a vigilante.
One last one. And I know that the obvious reason is because murder does not cancel each other out. But, like...
Sure it does.
Well, right. But, like, he fucking took out the crime syndicate in Detroit, right? Why are the cops shooting him with machine guns from helicopters after that? They should be thanking him. Giving him a fucking award, even.
I guess from their point of view, it's probably just like gang-on-gang violence that they're seeing.
Yeah, I guess that's
And
fair.
we see the like head detective's a giant douche. Mm-hmm. So,
Well, actually, it's another deleted scene, Gage. They reenact the Star Wars.
Damn,
Hope
really?
Scene, where they give him medals.
Yeah.
They present him with a medal, and like everybody's elated.
they get a crow
Chewbacca's
signal
there.
in the sky.
Yeah.
Or they just fly one over, but no one knows if
Did we
it's a
just
crow or
melt
raven.
Star Wars and Batman together?
Yeah, I think we did.
So
Bat Wars.
What the did they explain this? I don't remember. Did they explain what the problem was between the cop and the detective? Like why they hated each other so fucking much?
Well, they were. I always thought they were competing for the same job, and one got demoted. Ernie Hudson, the other one got it, and then demoted Ernie Hudson because in the beginning he's a detective, but then a year later he's a beat cop. So
put
they
him
like
up with the beat.
Yeah, he kind of just screwed over.
Well,
Ernie
I
Hudson
think they
'cause
make
he's
a
an
reference
asshole.
to that he got kicked down to being a beat cop for some reason. I don't think they go into too much detail, but yeah, it's there's always like it seems like in a lot of movies there's always like that asshole detective that's kind of like holding back like the good cop that's like the focus of the movie. So it's just one of those dynamics they put in everything.
It's honestly it's like a trope of a lot of '90s movies. So again, probably something they just tried to get in there to make things like familiar. Maybe I don't know.
Is he in the second movie? Is Ernie Hudson in the second movie?
No,
because Ernie Hudson knows that movie sucked, so he decided to
I'll say it again. I like the second one. There is one line in the second one I hate, but we'll save that. Well, maybe we'll come back and talk about how
Maybe
great
we'll
the
do
second one
Crow
is.
2.
Yeah, Crow 2, Electric Boogaloo.
I'll let you do that one.
I'll do that one by myself because
Well, I tell you what, I tried to do an episode by myself. I had a cardboard cutout of Chewbacca. I'll even bring him over so you can do it with him.
Yeah, there we go.
He doesn't say much, but
I'll start talking about the movie, and then he'll just cardboard cutout, get up and walk
he's
out.
like, well, I've been cardboard for 3 years, but fuck it, I can't take this anymore. I'm out.
I've had eyes for 3 seconds, and this movie's garbage.
Just scraping across the crowd. That'd be such a funny bit.
All right, the last award is the I'm the King of the World award for who wins the movie.
I'm the king of the world.
Who win? Give me context.
Well, basically, like, who makes the most, like, what did we say this was? It's like, what's your favorite aspect of the movie? Like, when you think about The Crow, what do you think of?
I think about the humor quite a bit. I think the grittiness mixed with, like, the dark humor is my go-to. That's the reason why I watch that movie. I know there's like messages and points and and those are great. Those are very big and very important parts of the movie. But when I want a movie where I can just sit down and turn my brain off watching a guy with crow magic beat the shit out of like weirdly like 90s like Power Ranger villains,
So
I love that.
So would you say then the director, for the way that he
Yeah, I would say
that he made the the way that he directed it and all that?
Yeah, for sure. I would say so.
Cole?
Man, I don't know. Honestly, just trying to think of like who had the biggest impact. I mean, it was the director who got Brandon Lee on board, so part of me wants to give credit to him. But really, I mean, Brandon Lee's kind of the obvious one. We talked earlier about how he'll take these lines that to most people are just throwaway lines, like I thought I'd use your front door, or I have something for you. I don't want it anymore. Like, he takes these throwaway lines and makes them fucking magic. And then he takes the other lines that might not be funny and then turns them into humor. And it's like, oh, is that gasoline I smell? And he's what makes that movie both of what you just said. So that's a movie you can turn your brain off and watch it for the silliness and the genre. But then you also, if you're in the mood for a movie that you can really delve into and dissect and try and get some real subtext into, it's that also.
Well,
and I think that's because of Brandon Lee.
There's a joke in the movie that is not funny by any regards. Like, I've heard it a million times to where it's not really that funny anymore, and it's the joke about Jesus.
Yeah.
I've heard that joke a million fucking times, and I heard it from The Crow, and I didn't find it funny when I heard it the first time, really, but it was just something about watching it this time where I was like, that's pretty fucking funny, actually. So, yeah, I think I'd agree. It's like the director and Brandon Lee, for sure, absolutely. So.
Which, and this is more of a factoid. I don't even know if I mentioned that, but the director wanted... Oh, yeah, I did start to say that about the cinematic universe stuff. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm repeating myself now because I'm out of things to say.
Well, we can always cut it out.
Yeah.
Hi, Adam.
I was like, oh, I'll say the time it is so Adam knows when to cut it.
Yeah,
but
producer
that's
Adam.
Not going to help at all either.
I think we're pretty much all going to be in agreement that it's Brandon Lee. This movie is not the movie that it is without him. Because we couldn't think of an actor to plug in to replace him. Like who would you get that you believe that was a rock star, crow, resurrected superhero murdering the crime syndicate of Detroit? That kind of sounds weird, but I mean, he makes you believe that he could do it. And I talk about this every single week. Believability is what you want in your main character. And as you guys said, he delivers lines that may not be as impactful if it's said by anybody else.
Yeah. And
he makes you believe in him and makes you want to fucking just murder people. Like, typically, we don't want anybody to murder anybody, but, they deserve it. They raped his fiancée and killed her, after 30 hours of pain. And they threw him out of a fucking window.
Mm-hmm.
Sixth floor window?
Yes,
six story.
So, it's Brandon Lee, and we talked about how sad it is that he was killed on the set and what he could have been from this movie. And, he could have been John Wick. You never know.
It's almost the exact same situation with Raul Julia, in my opinion, because I think Raul Julia died way too soon. And another phenomenal actor. I think he got a little bit further in his career and did got more famous. Obviously, he was Gomez Addams. But I think they're similar in their acting styles. I think of them, they're a lot alike. But again, just cut way too soon. And just seeing what he could do when a director believed in him and wanted to just put this entire movie on his shoulders and just saw what he did. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that I went with Brandon Lee too. I mean, just he is able to I don't know. It seems like he's able to. You see how loving he is with his fiance, and it's like he's like the lovesick puppy, and then like how he's torn up, and then like just he runs the gamut of emotions. He seems to play it all really well. And plus, like I don't know, it's sad that like his performance kind of gets overshadowed by what happened to him. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I don't really think this movie works without him. Like I know we mentioned like Johnny Depp was considered, and I think that would have been interesting, but I think he would have been too quirky. And then I think River Phoenix might have been able to pull it off. But
see, I don't know enough about River. He was a little before my time, and I don't really know River Phoenix movies.
The only thing I think you would know him from would be he was young Indiana Jones in Last Crusade.
And he was in Stand By Me, too.
Yeah, Stand By Me.
Okay.
But yeah, I think he could have pulled it off. But like honestly, though, like I don't think anybody could have done this better than Brandon Lee.
Yeah, can you imagine like Johnny Depp running like how he runs as Jack Sparrow, like on the rooftops, like chasing people?
Yeah, I know.
Come back here, Sabi.
Yeah.
Or if he had like scissors for his hands.
You're without a doubt the worst crow I've ever seen, but you have heard of me.
Oh, that's a raven.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Don't mess with.
That's a funny bit. This is without a doubt the worst crow I've ever seen. Well, that's a raven.
All right. So we're in agreement. Brandon Lee wins.
Yeah, hands down.
All right. Well, does anyone have anything they want to add before we wrap this up?
No, I just thank you for having us come on and let me like talk and share feelings about this movie.
Yeah, thank you for coming on.
Well, right now, again, it's not something people know about. Like, I can't go to work and talk to people about this movie or just like meet people and talk to them because it's a little more esoteric nowadays. So being able to just share feelings about it's really cathartic for me, and you guys helped me do that, and I'm really grateful.
Yeah. Well, I think the next iTunes review we're going to get is like, hey, you should just like shit can Lucas and Russ, just like Kohl take over.
I don't think so.
He brought the thunder in this one.
No, it's going to be, I can tell that guy's fat and Polish. Get him off your show.
Okay, well, I don't know, like, we won't encourage that kind of review.
No,
we don't
I
like that around
I
here.
don't encourage it, but it's coming.
Well, the only thing I really have to say about it is even though we spoiled the fuck out of this movie.
You know what? We've been doing this for 33 episodes. We spoil the shit out of movies now, so no big deal.
Well, if you haven't seen this movie, definitely owe it to yourself to see it. It's an instant classic.
I don't think it can be spoiled. I really don't, because it's not really about, like, from the beginning, the time he comes back. I mean, he does what he says he's going to do, so I don't think you can spoil this movie. It's not a movie that, it's not like a Shyamalan movie where there's a big twist that you can spoil that ruins the build-up and stuff. There's no real build-up to this movie.
We go off the rule that if it's at least 10 years old, you've had ample opportunity to
for
see
sure.
it.
Well, I'm not good at math, but this movie's at least 10 years old.
Yeah, it's maybe 10 and a half.
10 and a half years old.
Yeah, so we go off that rule. Like, we spoil it all the time, so.
But yeah, I will say anyone who hasn't watched it, yes, like,
you can watch it on HBO Max, so. I think it was on Netflix, too.
I'm not sure.
It's just on HBO Max.
Just on HBO
right
Max.
now,
I know it was on Netflix for a while, too. But yeah, HBO Max, you can watch it anytime.
I just want to close by saying thank you guys. We played a board game that we had no idea what the hell we were doing, but we had so much fun doing it.
And Lucas and I cheated to win.
Yeah, we fucking won. Woo! Yeah, we didn't really win.
I feel like
we all
maybe
won.
cheated to lose.
Yeah, maybe.
That's what I was trying to do.
But I just really appreciate you guys coming on and offering some good insight, and it's been a blast. I mean, this is going to be one of our better episodes that we've ever done, and so I really appreciate you guys.
Yeah, Lucas is going to tell me, like, dude, just give it up. I'm just going to start doing this show with Kohl and Gage now.
Well,
I'm leaving.
Well, in the same vein, thank you for having us come on. I know it was like a mutual thing where you came on our show and we came on yours, but like this has been a very good experience. So I mean, it's just nice to be in a room of guys that like movies and like hanging out and just getting to shoot the shit about a movie that we all like for sub 2 hours. So feel like I could do this quite a bit, and I'm mad that I haven't done it before. So
well, Gage, you are coming back in a few weeks.
Yes, I am.
Because you were one of the only 2 people to give us a review, so you won our contest.
Are we saying what the movie is? Or?
Well, we're going to save it.
Okay.
But it's going to be spooky.
All right.
Well, hopefully we can come on again, too, and do, like I mentioned, doing the Dungeons & Dragons movie. I think that'd be really cool. I think that'd be a lot of
dude,
fun.
we'll have you guys back for sure. Like, yeah, this has been a lot of fun. We like bringing on new people. So, yeah, this was a blast. Like, I had a hell of a good time.
Yep, me too.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that's going to wrap up this week's episode of the Couch Potato Podcast. We'll talk at you guys later. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Couch Potato Podcast. Be sure to come back Monday as we kick off Fan Appreciation Month with Jaws, an episode you guys voted for back in July. We're going to be joined by producer Adam and a very special guest we haven't had on before, so that ought to be fun. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on that one and all new episodes that come out every Monday. So until then, we'll catch you later, everybody.